Am I the a-hole for not splitting my college fund with my dad's affair child? Plus update. Original post. My father dropped a bombshell in our family last year when he revealed that he had a secret son from an affair years ago. After my mom found out about the affair at a time and gave him an ultimatum, he cut things off with the mistress and she moved away. Until last year when she introduced him to their son, Hank, 14 male. I don't really care about his sudden desire to be a father, considering he didn't show any regard for the rest of his family when he broke the news. Thank God my mom divorced him. And now neither my brother Connor, 18 male, my sister Sophia, 15 female, nor I, 23 male, want anything to do with him. Here's the thing. We have a shared college fund that my mom's parents set up for us when we were little. My parents contributed almost half of the money, and my maternal grandparents contributed the other half. The account remains under my mom's control after the divorce. As far as I know, my father stopped contributing to the fund after they split. Last month, I found out that my dad has been harassing my mom because he wanted to add Hank as a beneficiary to the college fund for me and my siblings. He claims that since Hank is his son, he is entitled to the fund that was set up for Connor, Sophia, and me. My mom told him off, but now he's been going around bad-mouthing her online and to their mutual friends, saying that she is heartless and cruel for taking her anger out on an innocent child. He also had the nerve to reach out to me, trying to pressure my mom through me. He said I should consider opening my heart to Hank, who grew up without a father and wasn't given the same opportunities as my siblings and me. I left him on red because, honestly, the things I wanted to say to the callous man would not have been pleasant. Yesterday, he changed tactics and said he wanted to withdraw all of his contributions from the account, divide them so that Hank get a share, and then deposit the remaining money back. He added a caveat that, since Connor and I didn't need a college fund for tuition due to our full-ride scholarships, the money should be divided into 2 parts, for Hank and Sophia, instead of being split 4 ways among his 4 children. Now my dad, some of his side of the family, and even the mistress, are pressuring my mom to agree to this. I'm praying that she won't give in. It makes me furious that we're being asked to split our college fund with my dad's affair child. Even if I don't need the money for school, I will need it in the future, and so will Connor. I know for a fact that my dad wouldn't use the same reasoning to exclude Connor and me from the fund if it meant leaving the money solely for Sophia. It's all about Hank. I understand that Hank is innocent and not responsible for his parents' actions, but I don't see him as my brother. To be honest, I don't even see my father as a father anymore. As far as I'm concerned, my family consists of me, my siblings, and my mom. That's it. So, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Info. We have a shared college fund. What legal type of fund? Even if yes, I don't need to use the money to pay for school, I will need it in the future. Are you sure that's even an option? Where I live, if the funds are unused due to scholarship, we can withdraw it and won't be penalized. And I am considering getting a master's, so even if I didn't have to pay for undergraduate, I probably will need it for grad school. The fund is a state-sponsored savings plan. Sorry I can't give the actual name since it's very specific to where we live. Not a-hole at all. Where does your father get the idea that he set up this fund when it was your grandparents on your mom's side? Do his family members know the whole story? Yeah, that man's delusion is out of this world. His audacity is truly unmatched. My paternal grandparents know and support us. I know my grandma has been trying to get him to back off, but he unfortunately doesn't listen to her. It's mainly my dad's brothers who are joining him to harass my mom. I don't know if they know the full story or not. Since grandma and grandpa know, I feel like they do too. Not the a-hole. He can deal with his crappy decisions. The divorce is finalized. He can't go back and change the terms now. Additionally, it sounds like he didn't put in most of the money. It sounds like at most he put in 25%. Either way, he no longer has any claim to it. He can take out loans for Hank. I guarantee that Hank will not see a penny of that money if your dad gets a hold of it. And Sophia definitely will not see her half if it happens. Now for the update. Thank you so much, everyone, for the support and advice. I really appreciate it. I talked to my mom this morning about getting a lawyer involved and possibly a restraining order. She has been in contact with a lawyer regarding my dad's demands, and it seems he really doesn't have any legal rights to the college fund. I think some of you are correct in saying that he's doing all this because he knows he wouldn't win in court. As for the restraining order, my mom is hesitant to pursue one right now since my dad has visitation rights with Sophia, and she doesn't want to complicate things for my sister. However, she promised that if the situation gets worse, she will consider it. My brother Connor and I have also decided to take turns coming home on the weekends so that our mom and Sophia aren't alone, just in case anything happens. To clarify a few things, we haven't involved my mom's parents in this because their health isn't the best right now. When my grandfather first heard about the cheating and the secret son, he was so shocked that he had a heart attack. Thankfully, he has mostly recovered, but none of us want to put any additional stress on him. According to my dad, he didn't know about Hank's existence until last year when his mistress came back into the picture. No one in our family was aware of Hank until my dad brought him to a family event and broke the news to everyone. He blindsided and humiliated my mom, and that was the final straw for her, leading to the divorce. I honestly don't have anything against Hank. It's just that right now, I can't imagine spending time with him. He's still a minor, so any interaction would have to involve either our father or his mother, and that's a situation I'm not willing to put myself in at the moment. Maybe things will change in the future. Who knows? Hopefully this situation gets resolved soon. Thank you again, everyone, for the amazing advice and words of support. Next story. Am I the a-hole for wasting everyone's time in therapy because I was accused of lying? My mom, her husband, a die 16 female, have been in group therapy together. We started therapy a few weeks after Father's Day because that was the final straw for them. They insisted we needed therapy to work on why I won't let us be the family they want. We began at the end of July, and by the end of August, my mom accused me of lying, called me a liar, and laid out this big sob story about how much it hurt her to have me lie to her and do everything I could to destroy her marriage. It ticked me off so much. I never lied at any point. I said as much in the follow-up session, and the therapist asked me to explain my side and how I felt about my mom calling me a liar. My mom kept trying to interrupt me, told the therapist to shut up, and then accused me of being a vicious liar. To give some background, my mom and her husband got married 3 years ago, moving in together 2 months before the wedding. Before they moved in, they sat me down and asked if I was okay with us all living together and becoming a family of 3 again. My mom brought up how we'd have a man around the house again. My dad died, and she said it would be good for her to have a husband, and for me to have a dad. Her husband said he couldn't wait to be my dad, and that he had always wanted to be a father. He even mentioned that he already had plans for us for Father's Day. This was back in February, 3 years ago. I told them I wasn't okay with that. I don't want another dad, wouldn't let him be my dad, and was not going to spend Father's Day celebrating someone who isn't my dad. They just laughed it off and proceeded as if everything was fine. But every year since then, Father's Day has been a struggle because I refused to spend a day with him, and both he and my mom have tried to make it happen. I meant what I said. I've never called him dad or let him fill that role in my life. This year, he snapped. He had a temper tantrum and said I was supposed to be with him on Father's Day, not spending the day alone, and that he didn't sign up to be nothing to me. My mom called me a liar because she claims I promised to develop a close relationship with her husband and agreed to what they asked. She said I told them I would give him Father's Day, but I lied and didn't follow through on any of it. I made them believe I was a willing participant and that I wanted us to be a family. It ticks me off because I never said what she claims. I even repeated exactly what I said back then. The therapist couldn't get my mom to apologize, and she has no control over the sessions, where my mom and her husband dominate the conversation. So I just stopped talking and would zone out during the sessions. They only noticed this 2 weeks ago. When they confronted me, I spoke up again after more than a month of staying silent in therapy, confirming that I wasn't listening. Last week, I told them I was done engaging because I was owed an apology for being called a liar. Now my mom and her husband are angry, saying I'm wasting everyone's time by not participating. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. I'm surprised the therapist is still taking the sessions. They must need the money pretty badly. Your parents, like so many before them, aren't after therapy, where you have to work on your own issues. They want a wizard who can change reality for them, and maybe change you for someone who wants to call your mom's husband Dad. Good luck with it all. The therapist is pretty young, so maybe she's new and doesn't want to fail at one of her first set of clients. Otherwise, I don't get why she'd keep us either, when she was literally told to shut up. And not in a nice, I got this way, but like legit shut up, we're talking kind of way. She seems really sweet. I think she's probably a good therapist, but maybe she lacks the confidence and experience to really tell them to shut up or to fire us. She does try, but my mom knows how to be loud and talk over people. The therapist being so young and new might be why she was chosen. I didn't think of that, but it does make sense with everything. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not asking my grandparents to include other kids in my house when we visit the water park? I, 16 male, live in a pretty chaotic household. After my dad passed away, my mom remarried. Her husband already had 2 kids from a previous relationship who are now 12 and 11. About 18 months after my mom and stepdad got married, my stepdad's best friend went to jail, and they took in his 2 kids who are now 8 and 6. Then my stepdad's sister passed away, and her child, who is 5, also came to live with us. So in total, there are 6 kids, including me, living in the house with my mom and stepdad. My dad's parents visit me a few times a year. My mom doesn't let me see them too often because she's worried that the other kids will feel left out, especially since my grandparents don't automatically include them or send them gifts. About a week ago, my grandparents told me they were planning to take me to a water park that had recently been renovated about 2 hours away. They said we could make a day of it, and my mom had already given them permission to take me for the whole day. After my call with them ended, my mom, who had been listening in, asked if that was the water park the other kids had been talking about. I told her I wasn't sure, but probably since everyone at the school had been mentioning it. A few hours later, my mom told me that she had talked to my stepdad and they wanted me to ask my grandparents to include the other kids in the trip. She said they could never afford something like that on their own, but since my grandparents could, she thought they should be willing to include all the kids just as once, because it's such a popular and exciting place. She even offered to come along and help supervise. I told my mom that I didn't want the other kids to come because I wanted to spend time with my grandparents alone. She insisted that I needed to ask my grandparents, saying they would never agree if she asked, but might say yes if they thought I wanted everyone to come. She gave me a few days to ask, but I didn't. Then my stepdad joined a conversation, and both he and my mom reprimanded me for being selfish and greedy. They said I had a chance to do something kind and wonderful for my siblings, and that it wasn't like my mom wasn't willing to help out. They reminded me that I'm the only one in the family with grandparents, so I should be encouraging a more inclusive dynamic. My mom even said that while she might not be able to force the issue, she could remind me that I'm not being the best older brother and that one day, I might actually consider them my siblings and regret not trying to make them happier. So, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, and please let your grandparents know you're being coerced. Maybe you can go live with them? I told them what was going on, but living with them isn't an option yet. We looked into it before, but legally I don't get to influence the decision like some states allow. If your mother wants to ask your grandparents to include others, she should do the asking, not you. She wants you to ask, so it will seem like your idea, not the a-hole. Yeah, or so she can get the answer she wants to hear. She doesn't really care about whether they'd be wanted or not while there, which is kinda awful to do to them too. It isn't fair that she keeps you from your family. Is she expecting your grandparents to pay for all of the other children too? Because that's a very expensive day. I feel for you and your grandparents. I also feel for the other kids. I mean, it would be nice for them to have grandparents as well, but your mom definitely can't force other people to step up as grandparents for kids they have no ties to. Yes, they're supposed to pay for them, and my mom said she'd pay for her own ticket only. Yeah, that is not okay. And you know what's crazy? Your stepfather didn't offer any physical or financial help, and they are all his kids/friends' kids. He sounds like a mooch. Last story. Am I the a-hole for sending my son to rehab against my ex's wishes, even though I have sole custody? Okay, so I, 34 female, have sole custody of my 14-year-old son, Liam. Lately, things have been really hard. He's been acting out a lot, skipping school, shutting down emotionally, and I recently found out he's been drinking and experimenting with pills. When I discovered that, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm a recovering alcoholic myself, been sober for 4 years now, so this news sent me into panic mode. I did what I thought any parent would do. I started looking for help. I talked to a few counselors and eventually found a rehab program that also addresses mental health issues for teens. I thought this could really help Liam before things get worse. The problem is, when I told my ex, 38 male, he completely lost it. We don't exactly get along, one of the reasons I have sole custody, but we do share visitation. When I told him about Liam and a rehab, he said I was blowing things out of proportion. He basically thinks Liam is just experimenting and that it's normal teenage behavior. He told me rehab would traumatize him, that it's too harsh, and accused me of projecting my own issues onto our son. I sort of understand where he's coming from. I know he doesn't want to see Liam go through something difficult, but at the same time, I can't just sit by and watch things get worse without doing something. I've been there. I know how addiction starts. My gut tells me I'm doing the right thing by getting him help now, before it's too late. Anyway, I went ahead and enrolled Liam in a program last week. My ex is furious. He's been calling and texting constantly, telling me I'm making a huge mistake, and that Liam will end up hating me for it. He's even threatening to take me to court to fight for custody. Honestly, I'm a wreck. Part of me feels like I might be overreacting. Like maybe I should have tried other approaches first, or at least involved his dad more in the decision. But I'm just scared, you know? Scared for Liam, scared of what could happen if I do nothing. I just don't know anymore. So am I the a-hole for sending my son to rehab without my ex's approval, even though I have full custody? Should I have listened to him more? Not a-hole. You need to do what you think is best for your son. It may be hard for him and for you now, but for sure it will get better in the future. Good luck to you and your son. Thank you so much. I only want the best for him. He is my world. You definitely are doing the right thing. Your ex threatening to go for full custody is going to look bad for him. The court will be like, you want full custody of your child because he's getting the help he needs? If you are concerned, just keep a timeline with how the issues escalated and your communication with your ex about the situation.